So today I want to show you a few collections that I'm quite excited to explore and experiment with in 2024. Already I will say that if there is something you think I should definitely check out, let me know in the comments and I will see what I can do. The first collection is the one from Biset, as you can see here, and the highlight for me in this collection is definitely the tracker module that will look like this. If you are familiar with trackers, you will love this module. If you are not familiar with trackers and you want to experiment with them, or see if you do like them, this is a great module to use. Right, so it's basically a tracker, so it runs from up to down, and we have multiple rows that you can use, right? You can enter notes, velocity, all sorts of different things, panning, effects, sort of MIDI effects, if you will, right? So I have here a few voices. I have here, for example, the FM operator, right, with some delay that will play this sequence here. Right, and you can also create, there's a sort of a timeline, you can create patterns. Right, so for the FM operator, I have two patterns, this one that will play 3 times, or 3 bars, and then another one. Right, with probability and all sorts of different things. There are also drums that I have here, right, that will play. I have here a tremor 2 as a kick and a sort of a hi-hat. Right, all playing from the tracker. Right, and there is also a bass that I have here. And this is the classic VCO from Surge. Right, and again, you can have patterns, you can sequence the patterns, you can create all sorts of songs, even if you will, on the timeline. So I'm really excited about this, I'm really happy to explore this. I have in hardware the NerdSec, and I really like it, and I'm really happy finally there's a deep and complex tracker to explore. The second collection is the Patchable Devices collection. Also here we have quite a few modules that are interesting to explore. I'm really excited about the voltage sequencer. It might look like a simple 8-step sequencer, but there are so many things you can do with it. You have logic outputs or analog logic outputs. You can change the direction. You have 2 sequences, A and B, that you can switch between. Right, so here I have 2 FM operators. You can also trigger different steps with external triggers. So here I'm using probability, for example, just to jump between different steps. Right, so this will be the first sequence, which will be A and B switching between each other. Right, so you have much more than an 8-step sequence. And the second FM operator is A minus B. Right, so again, you can change direction, you can trigger the different steps. Really interesting stuff. There's a lot to do here in a sort of a modular mindset. By patching things, you can get all sorts of different results. Another module I really like here is the window generators, which is a complex envelope generator. You can see this here on the scope. Right, here I'm using it to open VCA for the VCV VCO. Right, with some delay from Tap Dancer. Right, and again, depending how you patch things, you can get all sorts of different results. And another module here is this nonlinear integrator, which is basically a filter. You have low pass, band pass, high pass, and notch. Interesting to ping, also interesting sort of a feedback loop. Right here I have it self-oscillating, and I'm feeding the band pass back into the input. So we have a nice sub bass. Right, but I'm also using the high pass, sending it through some chorus. collection is the one from Venom, again with many interesting modules. Actually, already the Rhythm Explorer I already explored a bit. There is also a video about it if you are interested. But there are other modules that are quite interesting, and I'm quite excited to dig into this collection. So here I have the Rhythm Explorer sequencing drums. Right, and I'm mixing the drums, Tremor 2 and Tremor 1, into a reformation, which is basically a distortion, right? So we can add drive. Right, and we can change all sorts of different points here, and oh yeah. Right, and change the sound in all sorts of ways. Of course, we can also sequence things, so for example, the drive. Right, and like this you can distort the sound. We have CV inputs for everything. It's quite nice. I have here also a bass that I'm sequencing with the Rhythm Explorer. Right, with kick call from Faco. Maybe I will take the level down a bit here. Right, again sequencing it with the Rhythm Explorer, but here I'm using the window comparator, again from Venom, which is a comparator. I like using comparators again as distortion. So I have here another version of this bass, but distorted. Have a listen to this. Right, and again it's adding just another layer. This is without and with. Right, just adding a nice layer to this bass. And I'm also here using the Bernoulli switch, which you can use to switch between two inputs or two outputs. And I'm using here to switch between two different sequences. The voice itself is a VCO going through a bandpass filter. Right, so again you can switch between all sorts of different things like sequences, modulation, and so on, and add probability to the switching, which is quite nice. Right, and that's it. I really hope to dedicate some time to explore all of these modules. Thank you for watching. Cheers.